Do you really think you're the one in control of your habits? Or have they been controlling you for longer than you realize? Think about it. Every addiction starts small. An innocent distraction, a quick break, a just 5 more minutes. Until, before you know it, it's the one determining what you do, what you feel, and even who you're becoming. Addiction doesn't scream, it doesn't threaten, it doesn't arrive violently. It disguises itself as comfort, as momentary pleasure, as reward. It's the silent enemy that destroys your inner strength, drains your discipline, and sabotages your peace little by little, without you even realizing it. And that's precisely why it's so dangerous. You think you're in control when in fact you're being led, like an emotional puppet, by your impulses, by your automatic desires, by everything you don't have the courage to face head-on. But what if I told you that the power to change this is in your hands? That true control isn't about eliminating addiction overnight, but about mastering your mind, about learning to observe your impulses without becoming a slave to them. This is the difference between those who live awake and those who live asleep. The ancient Stoics already knew. Man's greatest enemy is not out there but within. It's the undisciplined mind, the ungoverned will, the constant avoidance of what needs to be done. So tell me, who's in charge now? You or your habits? If you feel tired of being driven by the same patterns, if you want to regain control over your life, then this video is for you. Here, we'll talk about how to identify the triggers that hold you back, how to weaken the power addiction has over you, and, most importantly, how to regain control over yourself with the clarity and strength a Stoic would cultivate every day. But before we continue, I want you to comment below on the word control, because this is the first step to showing the algorithm, and especially yourself, that you're ready to take action. Comment control if you want to regain power over yourself, because today is the day you stop being hostage to your impulses and start building the strongest, most disciplined, and freest version of who you truly are. The truth is hard, and that's precisely why most people run away from it. But the Stoic understands that running away from the truth is the first vice, and perhaps the most dangerous of all. Because while you hide behind excuses, life passes, time slips through your fingers, and nothing changes. How many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow, it's just a phase, everyone does it"? These phrases seem innocent, but they are mental traps created by the fear of facing reality. The mind seeks comfort, the ego seeks justification, but the soul knows when it's lying to itself. The Stoic, unlike himself, looks in the mirror and says, "I'm weak here." And this simple act of acknowledging weakness is already an act of strength, because admitting the truth doesn't diminish you, it frees you. It's the first step towards self-mastery, the moment you stop running away from yourself and begin rebuilding yourself from the inside out. So I ask you, what have you been avoiding facing? What is the truth you know, but pretend not to know? If you have the courage to admit it, comment truth below, because only those who have the courage to face the truth are capable of transforming their own lives. Stoic philosophy teaches that there is no progress without self-accountability. As long as you're pointing the finger at the world, nothing will change. Addiction, discouragement, procrastination, all of these feed on your denial. Denial is the fuel of self-deception, and self-deception is the poison of the soul. The Stoic learns to look within, without filters, without masks, without invented stories to ease the pain. He doesn't blame fate. He doesn't blame others. He doesn't blame the past. He observes and recognizes, "I'm the one who let this grow." This attitude isn't destructive self-criticism, it's clarity, because only when you understand where you are can you choose where to go. Facing the truth is an act of courage, but also of love. Love for yourself, for who you can become, for who you're tired of not being. The man who runs from the truth lives in chains. He who faces it achieves inner freedom. So if you want to overcome your addictions, your impulses, and the disorder of your mind, start here. Stop telling stories and start telling the truth. Truth hurts, but lies kill slowly and without you realizing it. Look at your life right now. What are you avoiding taking responsibility for? Is it your body you neglect, your mind you let drift, or your habits that have taken over? Perhaps you've become accustomed to the idea that it's just the way I am, but this is a trap that prevents you from changing. The Stoic knows that change begins when the truth ceases to be a threat and becomes an ally. The truth is the mirror that shows what needs to be corrected, and instead of turning away, it faces forward, because every time you look at yourself honestly, you gain strength. You stop being a victim and start being a protagonist. You realize that no one will save you, but also that no one can stop you. So if within you there's this desire to stop running away, to finally take control, comment on the word now, true, because this is the pact you make with yourself, to never hide again. This is the first Stoic act, and perhaps the most transformative of all. There is no freedom without truth. There is no strength without vulnerability. And there is no growth without confronting who you truly are. Face yourself without apology and see how much power has been dormant within you all along. Mastering yourself is more important than mastering the world. This is one of the most powerful phrases in Stoic philosophy and also one of the most forgotten in the modern era. We live in a time when everyone wants to control everything, the outcome, the people, the circumstances, the image they present to the world, but few dedicate themselves to controlling what truly matters, their own mind. And that's precisely where the root of all addiction lies. Because addiction is nothing more than a mind that has forgotten who's in charge, a mind that little by little has given into comfort, impulsiveness, and distraction until it becomes hostage to its own desires. The Stoic, on the other hand, understands that true freedom comes from self-control. He knows that if he is not the master of his mind, he will be a slave to his instincts. And so, every day he practices control, not as a prison, but as an art. The art of not reacting impulsively, the art of pausing before acting, the art of choosing what will deserve his energy. And here's the challenge for you. When was the last time you truly controlled yourself, even when everything inside you wanted to do the opposite? If you want to start taking control of your desires, write the word I in the comments now. Domain. Because that's the first step to reminding your mind who's in charge. Self-mastery isn't about repressing, it's about directing. It's not about living rigidly, emotionless, but about learning to be the captain of your own ship. The storm will come, the sea will be rough, but those with inner mastery don't despair. They adjust the sails. The Stoic wakes up knowing the world will test them. People will provoke them. Situations will frustrate them. Temptations will call. But even so, they practice control like a muscle that needs to be strengthened every day. They understand that self-mastery isn't an event, it's a daily training. It's saying no to yourself when everything screams yes. It's resisting immediate pleasure in exchange for lasting peace. It's enduring momentary discomfort to build a strength that nothing can shake. Every time you resist an impulse, you gain power. Every time you choose what's right over what's easy, you take a step toward true freedom. Because the man who masters himself is invincible. The world can take everything from him except control over his reactions. And that's what separates the weak from the wise, the slaves from the masters of themselves. Daily self-mastery is the invisible battlefield where most lose. Not for lack of strength, but for lack of awareness. People want results, but they don't want discipline. They want to change their lives, but they don't. Want to change their behavior. They want freedom, but they remain trapped by their impulses. And that's why addiction wins, because it feeds on the weakness that arises from a lack of self-control. The Stoic overcomes addiction by observing himself. He notices the impulse arising but doesn't identify with it. He feels the desire but doesn't obey. He hears the call of immediate pleasure, but chooses purpose. This is true victory, when you understand that mastering yourself is a constant battle, but each small act of control is a seed of power planted within you. So, the next time the urge to give up, to get distracted, or to surrender comes, take a deep breath and remember, I'm in charge here, because self-mastery is the greatest act of freedom there is. If you want to stop being a slave to your desires and become their master, write the word now. Domain. To affirm, to yourself and to the universe, that from today on, you are the one who decides. The mistake of those trying to overcome an addiction is to think that simply stopping is enough. But the Stoic understands that it's not just about eliminating the bad, but replacing it with good. When you simply try to stop, you create a void within yourself, and that void will inevitably be filled by something. If not by virtue, it will be by another vice. The Stoic doesn't just fight what weakens him, he nurtures what strengthens him. Instead of focusing on what needs to be abandoned, he turns his attention to what needs to be cultivated: purpose, action, and discipline. Addiction dies when the mind finds meaning, because addiction is, at its core, a distorted search for fulfillment. It's the symptom of a soul lacking direction. When you have a purpose, when your life begins to revolve around something greater than pleasure itself, the addiction loses its power. It ceases to be tempting because you finally have something worth more than it. So tell me, what has been filling your time? What has been feeding your mind? The absence of purpose is the breeding ground for addictions. So if you want to truly change, it's not enough to free yourself from something, you need to surrender to something greater. And if this is your moment to choose virtue over vice, comment below. Virtue, because it shows that you are ready to trade momentary pleasure for true purpose. Virtue is the antidote to emptiness. The man who lives without purpose will always be a slave to some kind of quick pleasure, because he tries to fill the silence of the soul with distractions that only increase the emptiness. The Stoic, on the other hand, understands that true pleasure lies in living according to reason, clarity, and purpose. He replaces vice with habits that bring him closer to who he wants to be. Where there was once escape, he places presence. Where there was once laziness, he places discipline. Where there was once guilt, he places action. Each time he chooses virtue, he weakens the vice, because the mind cannot serve two masters. When you begin to direct your energy towards something constructive, the destructive impulse simply loses the space it once occupied. And this is self-mastery in its highest form. Not fighting what holds you back, but transcending what holds you back, rising above the impulse. So when you feel like giving up or getting distracted, ask yourself, what would a virtuous man do now? This simple question can change your life, because the moment you choose to act according to virtue, you reaffirm your inner strength and begin to reprogram your mind to seek satisfaction in what truly matters. Virtue gives meaning to struggle. It transforms the process of overcoming into a path of evolution. The Stoic doesn't see himself as a victim of his own impulses. He sees himself as an apprentice of his own mind. He understands that every temptation is a test, every relapse is a lesson, and every day is an opportunity to choose again. When you live with purpose, every choice becomes a declaration of who you want to be. Virtue becomes your shield against emptiness, your compass in chaos, and your anchor amidst temptations. It's what keeps you going even when pleasure screams loudest. It's what makes you realize that true pleasure lies in conquest, in overcoming, in self-mastery. Therefore, the Stoic doesn't try to stop sinning. He tries to become so virtuous that sin loses its meaning. Vice isn't overcome by force, but by substitution. And when the mind finds purpose, the body finds peace. So, if you're determined to take this step and replace the pleasure that weakens you with the purpose that strengthens you, comment on the word now, virtue, to make it clear, to yourself and to anyone watching that your fight is not against addiction, it is in favor of your evolution. Pain is a teacher few have the courage to listen to. Most people run from it, trying to drown it out with distractions, quick pleasures, or empty excuses. But the Stoic understands something profound. Every pain carries a lesson, and every setback reveals a blind spot in the soul. When you fall, it's not the end. It's the mirror showing you where you still have weakness, and that's precisely where you need to grow. Every mistake, every slip-up, every moment you feel frustrated with your own lack of control is an opportunity for self-discovery. The problem is that we've been taught to be ashamed of pain when we should learn from it. The Stoic doesn't blame himself. He observes. He asks himself, why did I fail? What is still controlling me? What part of me still seeks easy pleasure instead of true strength? Pain is a map, and if you know how to read it, it leads you directly to evolution. So, when you feel the pain of a setback, don't reject it. Take a deep breath, look at it and say, show me what I still need to learn. And if you understand that pain can be your ally, comment below with the word apprenticeship to show that you are willing to transform your falls into lessons that will make you stronger. The Stoic does not fear suffering because he knows it hones character. No warrior is formed in comfort. No man becomes wise by running away from his own wounds. Pain is the exercise of the soul, the invisible training that prepares you for greater challenges. When you relapse, the ordinary mind says, I failed. But the Stoic mind says, now I know where I need to improve. This is the difference between someone who gives up and someone who evolves. Pain reveals the cracks that still need to be strengthened, and the Stoic is grateful for this. Because without pain, there is no awareness. Without awareness, there is no growth. So the next time you feel shame or regret, remember, it's not the mistake that defines you, it's what you do after it. If you use pain to lament, it destroys you. But if you use pain to reflect, it teaches you. This is the wisdom of those who live with purpose, turning every wound into a silent teacher, every difficulty into a step toward evolution. And if you're listening to this now, it's because your pain didn't come to punish you, it came to awaken you. Learning from pain is one of the most powerful attitudes a human being can develop because it teaches you what success never shows. Success comforts you, but pain reveals you. It shows how much you still depend on the approval of others, how much you are still a slave to your desires, or how fragile your discipline is when no one is looking. It is through pain that you discover how indomitable your mind is, and how much it can still be shaped. The Stoic is grateful for his failures because they make him stronger, more aware, more prepared. He understands that each scar is a reminder that he survived, and that wisdom only comes from experience lived with presence. So, instead of saying, I failed, say, I learned. This simple shift in thinking transforms defeat into learning and pain into power. And the beautiful thing is that the more you learn from pain, the less you need it to evolve, because learning becomes your new strength. So comment now, apprenticeship. If you decide that, from today onwards, no fall will be in vain. Every mistake will serve as a lesson, every pain will be a teacher, and every step, no matter how small, will lead you to the self-mastery that no vice or weakness can steal from you. Self-control isn't born from a moment of inspiration, it's born from constancy. The Stoic knew that the human mind is like a wild horse. If you don't train it daily, it will drag you wherever it wants. That's why the ancient masters of mental discipline practiced daily. Not a single day went by without reflection, without meditation, without exercising reason over impulse. They understood that control doesn't come from strength, but from repetition. Just as a body only becomes strong with training, the mind only becomes stable with practice. The problem is that today people want immediate results. They want self-control. Without discipline, they want evolution without constancy. But the Stoic knows the mind weakens in the absence of practice. Every day you don't train your inner mastery, the addiction grows stronger. And that's why constancy is the secret weapon of the strong. It's not about doing a lot at once, it's about doing a little every day. True change happens in the accumulation of small daily victories, in choices that seem simple but build character. So if you understand that overcoming addiction and mastering yourself is a constant training, comment now on the word constancy, because that is the mark of the disciplined, of those who do not wait for motivation but build strength through repetition. The Stoics knew that practice is the heart of philosophy. Meditating on your actions, reflecting on your mistakes, acting consciously, all of this was a daily ritual. They didn't wait for a perfect moment to practice. They made life their own training ground. And this is one of the greatest lessons you can apply today. Don't wait to be in the mood. Don't wait to feel like it. Don't wait for the right day. Start now and repeat tomorrow, and the day after and the day after again. Because the brain learns through repetition, and each time you choose self-control, you reinforce the path of mental strength within yourself. Repetition creates identity, and when consistency becomes part of who you are, addiction loses ground. Procrastination, discouragement, and mental weakness cannot withstand a mind that trains itself daily. The Stoic woke with one question in mind: how can I be better today than I was yesterday? This is the essence of progress, not a sudden transformation, but continuous improvement. You don't overcome addiction with temporary willpower, but with daily discipline. Every conscious choice is a blow against weakness. Every repetition is a brick in the construction of your inner strength. Consistency is what separates dreamers from achievers. Everyone wants to change, but few are willing to repeat themselves until they master themselves. It's tiring, it's challenging, but it's necessary, because the mind is stubborn. It will test you, it will try to trick you, it will want to make you return to old habits. And it's precisely in these moments that practice shows its value. The Stoic doesn't give up when he feels like quitting. He sees this moment as part of the training. He understands that each setback is an opportunity to strengthen the muscle of persistence. And the more you practice, the more natural self-control becomes. One day you realize that what once dominated you no longer has power over you. That's when the impulse arises and you simply choose differently. Without effort, without struggle, simply with awareness. This is freedom. This is mastery. So, if you're committed to training your mind every day, to transforming discipline into habit and habit into virtue, comment now. Constancy, because this word represents the essence of the Stoic path. It's not about being perfect, but about being steadfast, about falling and getting up, trying and repeating until control is no longer a battle, but part of your nature. Consistency is the secret of the invincible, and it begins with a simple decision: not to stop. Addiction has never been an external enemy. It has always been within you, not as a monster, but as a forgotten part, begging for discipline, purpose, and presence. It is the reflection of the void you haven't filled, the pain you haven't wanted to face, and the mind that has lost control over its own body. The Stoic understands that the battle against addiction is not a war against something outside of you, but a process of reconciliation with your own nature. The undisciplined mind seeks immediate pleasure because it has forgotten who is in charge. But when you awaken, when you begin to observe your impulses without submitting to them, everything changes. You realize you no longer need to run from anything, because you have learned to face everything. Addiction tries to dominate you through comfort, but comfort is the prison of the weak. Discipline, on the other hand, is the freedom of the strong. Mastering yourself is understanding that each impulse is an opportunity to choose who you want to be, the slave of your desires or the master of your own life. And it is in that moment, when you commit to truth, constancy and purpose, that you discover something powerful. The control you sought outside was always within you. Stoic philosophy reminds us that the mind is the battlefield where fate is decided. You can't control the world, but you can control yourself. And that's precisely where the power lies. When you learn to master your impulses, you don't just overcome addiction, you overcome fear, laziness, doubt, and everything that holds you back. Self-control isn't about repressing emotions, it's about directing them. It's about transforming anger into focus, anxiety into movement, and pain into strength. Addiction weakens you when you live on autopilot, but the Stoic awakens to the present. They understand that every choice is a chance to reaffirm one's freedom. Inner strength isn't built overnight, but through small daily decisions. When you choose purpose over distraction, progress over momentary pleasure, it's at that point that you become unshakable. The world may change, circumstances may test you, but within you is a rock, steadfast, centered, untouchable. This is the true Stoic victory, to master oneself so as never to be mastered again. And now, I want to challenge you to take the next step. If these words resonate with you, it's because something within you is already awakening. Don't ignore this call. Stoic philosophy isn't theory. It's practice, it's action, it's transformation. From today on, every time an impulse tries to control you, remember, I'm in charge. Each time you resist easy pleasure, you'll be shaping a stronger, clearer, and freer mind. So if this video made you reflect, leave a like to strengthen this message and share with someone who needs to hear this today, because strength multiplies when it is shared. And before you leave, write the word here in the comments, inner strength, to record that you have chosen the path of discipline, purpose, and presence. Because the Stoic doesn't shy away from struggle, he transforms struggle into learning. Addiction may even call you, but it is your conscience that answers. Remember, mastering your impulses is mastering your life, and when you do that, nothing else has power over you.